Forget the dusty textbooks that put you to sleep. Right now, you aren't just a student looking at a screen. You are the living, breathing nightmare of the Roman Empire. You are the man whose name makes emperors tremble and mothers whisper to their children in fear. You aren't just a king. You are the Scourge of God, sent by the heavens themselves to punish a decadent and crumbling world. This isn't a lesson, it's your life. It's 434 AD. The thundering hooves of the great Eurasian steppe are at your back, and you've just inherited an empire that knows no borders and has no master but you. Your life begins in the saddle. For your people, the Huns, the earth isn't something you own or farm. It's something you gallop over to reach your next prize. You don't build cities, you destroy them. You don't write books, you write history in the blood of those who dared to stand in your way. You grow up in the shadow of your uncle, Rugula, watching him squeeze gold out of the Romans like juice from a ripe fruit. You learn early on that the world is divided into two groups, those who take and those who are taken from. When Rugula dies, you and your brother Bleda take the throne. For 11 years, you rule together, turning the Balkans into a wasteland and making the Byzantine emperor your personal ATM. You force the Eastern Romans to double their tribute, just for the privilege of not being burned to the ground. But the Huns only have room for one great king. Bleda likes the gold and the wine, but you crave something more. You crave absolute power. You see the world through a lens of destiny. To you, Bleda is becoming soft, distracted by the very luxuries you are meant to destroy. In 445 AD, during a royal hunting trip, Bleda doesn't come back. The official story, whispered in the camps, is that it was an accident. The real story? You are now the sole, undisputed master of the Hunnic Empire. You don't just lead men anymore, you own their souls. You cultivate a terrifying persona to match your new status. You walk with a slow, proud step, darting your eyes here and there as if you are weighing the worth of every person you pass. You want every man, woman, and child to know that one wrong look in your direction could mean the end of their entire lineage. Then comes the sign that seals your fate and your legend. A shepherd finds an ancient, rusted sword buried in a field after one of his cows limps home with a bleeding hoof. He brings the blade to you, trembling. You don't see a piece of junk. You see a miracle. You announce to your gathered tribes that this is the sword of Mars, the legendary blade of the Roman god of war. You tell your warriors that the gods themselves have chosen you to rule the entire earth. Now, you aren't just a general. You're a messiah of the plains. Your warriors don't just follow your orders, they worship your shadow. With the sword of Mars in your hand, you turn your eyes east toward the glittering walls of Constantinople. Emperor Theodosius II thinks his massive Theodosian walls, the strongest fortifications in the world, will keep you out. He is dead wrong. You aren't just a barbarian with a horse. You are a master of psychological warfare and advanced siege engineering. You bring down 70 cities across the Balkans with a speed that defies logic. The smell of smoke and the glow of burning horizons follow you for hundreds of miles. You don't stop until the emperor is on his knees, begging for mercy. You force him to pay an immediate fine of 6,000 pounds of gold and a yearly tribute of over 2,000 pounds. You have officially turned the world's most powerful empire into your personal piggy bank, and there is nothing they can do to stop you. But the East is just the beginning. In 450 AD, a strange letter arrives from the heart of Rome. It's not a declaration of war. It's a plea for help from Honoria, the sister of the Western Roman Emperor Valentinian III. She wants to escape an arranged marriage to a boring senator and sends you her signet ring. To a Roman, it might be a cry for help. To you, it's a legal contract of marriage. You immediately claim Honoria as your bride and demand half of the Western Roman Empire as her dowry. When Rome refuses, you smile. You finally have the perfect excuse to invade the West. You march toward Gaul with an army so massive that contemporary writers claim you make the great rivers run dry. You are an unstoppable tide of fur, steel, and fury. In 451 AD, you finally meet your match at the Battle of the Catalonian Plains. Across the field stands Flavius Aetius, the last of the Romans. He knows you better than anyone. He spent years as a hostage among the Huns in his youth. He knows your tricks, your feints, and your hunger. He joins forces with the Visigoths, and for one long, bloody day, the world holds its breath. It is one of the deadliest battles in human history. The stream running through the battlefield supposedly turns thick and red with blood. For the first time in your life, you are forced to retreat. You even build a funeral pyre of wooden saddles, ready to burn yourself alive rather than be captured and paraded through the streets of Rome. But Aetius lets you slip away, a strategic mistake he will live to regret. He feared that if the Huns were gone, the Goths would become the new masters of Europe. A year later, you strike back with even more ferocity. You invade Italy itself, destroying the great city of Aquileia so thoroughly that future generations won't even be able to tell where it stood. You are at the very gates of Rome. The city is defenseless, paralyzed by the mere mention of your name. But then, an old man in white robes comes out to meet you. It is Pope Leo I. No one knows exactly what was said in that private meeting on the banks of the Mincio River. Some legends say he showed you a vision of the apostles Peter and Paul threatening you with death. Others suggest you were worried about the plague and famine hitting your camps. Whatever the reason, you turn your horse around and leave. You spare Rome, but the terror you leave behind is permanent. You return to your wooden palace in the east, planning your next great conquest. To celebrate, you take a new, beautiful wife named Ildico. On your wedding night, after a massive feast filled with music and heavy drinking, you go to your chambers. But the Scourge of God, the man who humbled the mightiest emperors on earth, would not die on a battlefield. You suffer a massive nosebleed in your sleep, and in your drunken stupor, you choke to death on your own blood. Your guards find you the next morning, cold and silent, with your young bride weeping in the corner. Your warriors don't mourn you with simple tears. They cut their hair and deep gashes into their own faces with their swords, so they can mourn their king not with the cries of women, but with the blood of men. They bury you in 3 coffins, one of gold, one of silver, and one of iron.
And then kill everyone who worked on your grave, so your final resting place would remain a secret forever. Your empire disappears almost as fast as it rose, crumbling without your terrifying will to hold it together. But your name remains a shadow over history, a reminder of the time when one man from the steppe brought the entire world to its knees. This is your life as Attila the Hun. Subscribe to History Persona to step into the shoes of the legends.